Okay, great. So we pick up where we last left off with the camera focusing in on Hans as he's the first one out the door as they return um, from their underwater adventure. Um, the city is just as wet as the underwater was, although Hans didn't actually experience that because wait, yeah, Hans was part of the group that dreamed their way in.
I was one of the
Not,
ghost
yeah,
people. Yep.
yeah. Um, and so for him, like the city is shadows and darkness as he's walking home, and there's sort of it's like an explosion of things in his mind, like little moments of growing up as the Crown family, and he grew up in a time where his father had literally started a war before his birth that was still not over by the time of his adulthood. Um, and so there's a like a moment where as he's walking he can kind of see like the dining room and the hear his father arguing with General Strauss, who was the key general on his father's side, um, the one who when Strauss died it changed everything. um, I'm gonna actually like bring him up just because I do have a picture of him. Maybe I have a picture.
Nice.
Let's see. Is that working? There we go. All right, there we are. Um, he's a very like formidable man, and he was probably one of like the first people that taught Hans when he was younger. Like he was when he was back when he was not actively commanding, he would take moments to kind of teach him little bits of strategy, and there are moments that Hans can remember him talking about like the differences of types of leaders, of that there are those commanders who will lead from the front and who can inspire their troops to greatness, but a single crossbow bolt can end a campaign.
Hmm.
And then there are those who command from the back and who can distance themselves enough from their troops to see them as pieces on a board, something that has to be moved, sacrifices that need to be made, who can view a battle mathematically, even in the midst of the chaos, which is a discipline to be respected unto itself, even if it alienates your men. Um, and he was of the opinion that a man could not become a great commander without at least understanding both ways. Um, that and that ultimately there was going to be a choice to be made at some point in his life as to what kind of leader he was going to be. Um, but the the moment that he's kind of remembering in his past is Strauss, who is a very calm, very articulate, but very commanding presence, talking to the Imperator himself. Both men have an enormous amount of like personal charisma and magnetism and everything, and they're actually discussing Hans with Strauss saying like his every bit of training to this point has been swordplay, commanding horses. He knows nothing of what it means to run a country. He hasn't been taught economics, he hasn't been taught diplomacy, he hasn't been taught, the finer points of politics. And the Imperator sort of exploding like, what would you have me do? Win this war and I can teach him to be a fine Imperator. Until then, he is going to become an Imperator of mud. Um, and Strauss kind of like he leans against the couch and he says, "It is an old adage, and you know it to be as true as I do, that if you give a man a hammer, all he sees are nails. You have given him only a hammer." And the Imperator just kind of he frustrates, he turns, he kind of rubs at his temple, and he says, "I do not even know that there will be an Eisen for him to inherit." And Strauss his brow furrows and he puts his hand on the Imperator's shoulder. It's very clear in that moment that like they have been friends far longer than he has been, the commander.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "We cannot act as though the worst thing will come to pass, because we will never build a future that way." Um, and he his voice kind of goes a little quieter, like Hans and Hans's little sister are both like creeping on this conversation, kind of like leaning around doorways to like hear what's being discussed. And um, she looks up. She like clearly doesn't understand everything that's being discussed, but she kind of like reaches over and like takes his hand and squeezes it. Um, and the uh, Strauss speaks again. He says, "Your burdens have been heavier of late, and you share them less." Um, and the Imperator says, "I started this war because I believed that it was our place to restore the Vatican within Eisen. It was a mistake, but not one I can undo." Um, and he dips his head. He says, "Everything that I touch comes to ruin." And the darkness kind of fades, and there's just like the memory of his sister's hand squeezing his much larger one, her looking up to him with like a uh, almost hero worship. Her older brother has kind of been like the one family member that she's around. They have been sequestered a lot of their lives because there's this active war going on, and partisans would be happy to assassinate either one of them. So there's been a lot to which, while he's had the best instructors, they just have been isolated.
Yeah, that sounds about right, honestly.
Um, and as he's kind of moving back through the shadows, he's reached Finerheart, he's reached his home. There's the rain is driving enough that there aren't anybody outside like looking to mug someone or cause trouble. It's like, no, people are taking shelter. And so there's
Yeah.
just not a lot of crime happening. Or if it is, it's the kind that like is dependent on stealth and getting away quietly. They're not looking to like cause trouble with people. Um, but there's this very strange feeling because Finerheart is almost always packed with people, and right now there's this moment where like the streets feel empty, and it feels like he's alone in it. Um, but an awareness of the shadows which surround him, in the sense that those shadows are watching him.
Yeah, I mean he's still reprocessing all of this. Just he's a little bit paranoid, probably. He's looking around.
Yeah. The sense he realizes after a moment isn't like the idea that people are watching him from the shadows, but rather that like that presence is watching him from the shadows. The one that he's felt his faith grow towards, and now is, I'm guessing, probably a little bit shaken at the moment.
Yeah, I'd say so. There's he I'd say he goes to say something or to call out this entity, and then he shakes his head, keeps his head down, and keeps walking.
Um, he feels a sense that feels like a hand on his shoulder. Um, Something that feels like it might be bidding him to stop. Um, and once again, he can feel that very small hand within his own, um, like his sister's hand. And he realizes like there's no, he doesn't know exactly how many years before the end of the war he died, or how long it's been, but like he knows his sister is older than she was, than the image that he remembers. But also there's no idea like what happened to her.
I think he feels that and he snaps his hand away. Do not use her against me.
Um,
I want give me space.
he and there's a sense of refusal, and the shadows don't like they don't move around him, but there are times where they seem to like deepen and grow darker. And he sees that there's a pane of glass sitting in the window of one of the buildings, and he can see a reflection in it that looks like his sister's face if she was 16, 14, somewhere in there. And he sees the clothes that she's wearing are bedraggled, like moth-eaten, and that there are chains on her ankles and her wrists.
He goes. It stops. He stops moving immediately, and his jaw stiffens, and you know where she is.
The image changes, and he sees the palace that he grew up in, the one that was taken over by Hilgrun after the Imperator committed suicide, and the one that is now currently held by the ghosts.
Of course, of course. He's muttering many unrepeatable curses on Heelgren's bloodline as he starts walking again. He's now like he's he was kind of trudging slowly through the rain before, just out of like what the fuck is happening, like kind of half dissociated. He's much more determined now. He looks like he's on his way to deliver a I don't know, deliver violence to someone right now. He looks extremely upset to any onlookers.
Yeah. The where is he headed to? Is he headed to his home up in the Dragon Nest, or is he headed to like work in his office at Finerhard with the Dragon's Tooth?
I think he was set on going to his home, and I think he still is. I don't think he's making a route change for his office, but he stopped for a moment to think about it. But no, he wants to go back to his house for a bit, at the very
Yeah.
least for the evening.
Um, the uh, the place is quiet. It's as familiar as he left it. There's a lot that has changed for him in the last few hours. Um, the I completely just blanked on his Watson's name.
Oh, it's
The one that's
Otto.
been living Otto. That's okay. Because we also have a spider named Otto, so that's why I was second guessing
Yeah,
myself. Um, he sees, the nurse that he hired to kind of like check in is still there, and Otto is sitting by the fire. Um, a position that he's probably been moved to, but he looks to be like relatively comfortable in. And the nurse kind of smiles, and she looks a little bit like startled by Hans's attire and like the fact that there's probably still the smell of flame from the explosion, and his clothes are muddled and everything. He's had enough time to recover because I believe he only took flesh wounds, right?
yeah,
So yeah, so
yeah. The
he's
armor, the
he's
armor
fine
saved
at
him
this
once
point.
again.
Yeah. Um, and the rain walk has kind of washed away the dust and the ash from that. So um, and she says he came out here to the warmth on his own.
He realizes he's probably still scowling and quickly like shakes the expression off his face and he of his own.
He's been doing that a little bit, just around the house. He seems to be a little bit more comfortable here.
It is good. It is good.
She says, and I don't have to feed him directly. I can put food onto his plate and a fork into his hand, and he'll eat himself. I don't know if that's meaningful.
That
No
is
one does.
it is an improvement. I mean, it is more than he was doing before. In any case,
She nods.
huh?
I think he was very far away from anything familiar to him.
It's possible. I mean, I found him. He was out in the camps on the edge of the city for us. I mean, for the who knows how long. I found him when I arrived.
She smiles. She says, "It's a very good thing that you are taking care of him."
I'm just glad that he has a proper shelter, and I thank you for everything you have done as well. I mean, I know this. I appreciate you taking care of him when I'm unable to.
She nods. And she kind of, I should just get going. It looks like it's a little damp out there.
Yeah, it is. If you need an umbrella or anything, I probably have an extra.
She smiles. She says, "Not far. Thank you, Captain."
Of course.
Um,
Nods and wishes her a good evening.
yeah, and she pulls her own cloak and kind of heads out to like where he had left behind. Um, the the moment is kind of a little bit of serenity in all the chaos. Um, the fire is going. He's finally out of the rain. There's a moment to kind of talk about or to at least think about like what he's seen. And
Yeah, I think as the armor, or at least most of the armor, kind of melts away as he enters his home, it just breathes kind of a sigh of relief and slowly moves to sit next to Otto by the fire, just to sit and to have a more peaceful moment to think.
um, there's a memory that kind of comes bubbling up after, which is it's like 2 or 3 weeks before he leaves. Um, and it's one of the few times he's out of the palace because he's at the funeral of General Strauss. Um, he he wasn't killed in battle. He was assassinated um, by a commoner, and he's being given all military dignities as if he died like in the line. And really, the man was like serving in the Eisen military for like 40 years, so he could have died of old age, and they would have been like died in battle.
Yep. Well deserved regardless.
One of one of the most remarkable things about the honor and respect that is given to him is he's being buried with a Draken blade.
Wow.
That's an incredibly rare thing, like because of the value, especially like being handed down. But this one, as Hans is looking at it and seeing like the coffin be lowered into the ground, he realizes that the blade, the one that's sort of not quite over the top, not quite the blade that he held that was given to him by his father, the blade that he's carrying it looks exactly like the one that Strauss is lowered into the ground with.
Interesting.
It like not precisely, but the design of it is the same like weight distribution and length and
Yeah. Similar class and I suppose like similar tier of weapon.
And as he kind of comes out of the memory, like Otto's head is leaned against his shoulder. He's still staring listlessly into the fire, but there's like a moment of closeness.
Yeah. And he smiles for once, and he kind of leans his head against Otto's and just good to have you back. A vestige of old life, much appreciated.
And that's where I'm going to drop the curtain on this particular open. And we will cut over to our introductions. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I want to give a content warning. While the spirit of Seventh Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Hans.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Rory. I am playing the oh man, so many different labels on this character at this point. It's everyone's favorite soldier boy. That's everyone's favorite. Playing Hans Ulrecht here tonight. And he's got, oh man, this is crazy shit, everybody. When I'm not here on this wonderful Sunday evening, you can also find me on an assortment of Wednesdays for Oracle Force, playing Graviton, gravity manipulating emotionally distressed teenager at this current moment. Very cool game. Tune into that if you haven't in the past. And also, you can find some past, present, and future musical endeavors on SoundCloud. I will. Oh, God damn it! Why didn't it copy the link? There we go. Toss that in the chat. You can also find every single full audio recording of every live DJ set I do here on Twitch. I am getting back into those. There's going to be more to come soon. There's been a lot of unforeseen things as of late, but we'll be falling into a rhythm with those pretty quickly. So keep an eye out for more of those. And with all that said and done, let's hear from Gav next.
That's me. Hi. I am Bison_Stonefist. I am playing Gav the Grid tonight, our sewer surf and suplex machine. I am a regular here on this channel. I am here 3 other nights this week. This week, a week. Tuesdays, I run our Cyberpunk Red campaign, Carnage Heights. On Thursdays, I am Garrett Sakes, our resident spiky boy, for the City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. And on some Saturdays, I am Calvin Scooter Hobbs, aka Big Scoots, because apparently that nickname's never gonna die. That is on our Starsworn campaign. Sorry, our Starforged campaign, Starsworn. It was entirely my fault. I'm the one that named it. It's 4 people, 4 GMs. They're all the same. None of us know what this plot is, which is actually a lot of fun. It's a very unique system. There's nothing like it. Check it out. Let's go to Ruth next.
Hi, I'm Ruth. I am here today as Runa. I am here on Tuesdays as Exit. Yes, the one who shot her girlfriend.
Damn.
Yeah, they started dating after that, believe it or not. I'm also here on
heart, and you're to blame.
I'm just saying,
we're now dating on the Tuesday game.
I'm also here on Wednesdays as Trek, aka Wheels. And I'm also here on Thursdays as Nora. Super fun, super cool. I'm gonna toss it to Len.
Hi, folks. It's Bat Kyle here. You found me at this Bat channel at this Bat time. You can find me On this day, playing Len, the ass of everywhere he goes, like King Dump Truck himself. And you can then also find me for a set number of Mondays running the Lovecraftian inspired mini-series Printer's Devil with Sans, Janet, and our wonderful Discord daddy Kevin. And we all need to start calling him that now and never let it die. Besides that, I post unhinged food names in the Discord, and I'm generally modding for and being a menace to multiple people at the same time. Over to Honorine.
Hello, everybody. I am Honorine. Well, I'm Blaze of Gloriosa. I play Honorine. I'm here. Well, I'm here 3 nights a week, but I'm on camera, just the 1 night a week, and then otherwise I'm producing. I love it. It's great. It's actually my favorite part of this channel. Tonight is our word just flew right out of my head. Our noblewoman. She's a noblewoman who likes to hang out with edgy, shadowy boys, and for some reason, this guy that has a huge ass, I don't know, man. Her sister's boyfriend. He's kind of a loser, though. You can't find me anywhere else except the Discord. I'm not here. It's Rose's turn.
Hey y'all, my name is Sarah. Yes, I do play Rose and Nyx tonight. I am here a total of 5.5 nights a week. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm here on Monday in our Printer's Devil game as Juliet Morningstar. Tuesday, in Cyberpunk Red, Carnage Heights, Hecate. I don't have another name yet.
Hecate Bullet Sponge Silverlock.
Nope, no Silverlock.
Sorry.
To be fair, she did ask to get shot.
Yeah, I did. Well, Magic did. Wednesday, Mask Oracle Force. I play Nightwish. How the fuck am I the leader of this team? And Thursday, I am the DM of the Chaos for our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. I also work with the Scarred Adventure on stuff and things that'll come out eventually over on Tango Productions. Handing off to Ciosa.
And I am the GM here of Shadow of the Wachtturm, as well as play-by-post game, Something Wicked, which kicked off this Friday. We're slow rolling along in that, but I'm very excited for the potential there. That is actually a sister game to the Oracle Force on Wednesdays. So we've worked together on the background of it. So in the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller. Sorry, back up. You can find me on the Discord. I'm allergic to all other social media, so if you try to contact me by some other way, I'll probably report you to the police. Just joking. In the ancient days of Numa, I'm just saying, like, if you call me and I don't know who you are, I'm going to be weirded out. In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that an adventure can only begin in one of 3 ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, the debacle best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. Fear not, we begin tonight, properly girded with a letter, the most seductive of the 3, and thus the most powerful. And we're actually going to... It's actually several of them, but they're arriving at different times. Who, in the wake of everything, is kind of remaining behind at the Ratcatcher's basement, and who is heading to other places to have conversations that may need to be had.
Honorine is going to take a long, hot bath.
Right there in the Ratcatchers. Outstanding.
No, Honorine is out of there and headed bathward. Yep. Got it.
Rose, I don't remember why she got upset, but she did, so she peaced out.
She has to talk to Len, and she was upset about it.
Yeah, she has to talk to Len.
Yeah. So I think Gav and Bruna and Len are there with the rat catchers at the moment, along with Hans and Margot.
Other
Yeah.
Hans.
Other hands.
Yeah, the other Hans, who's definitely like, you know, he looks a little like stricken by his experience. It's
Mhm.
it's clear that's been like emotionally damaging, but physical health wise, he seems to be all right.
Yeah, he did say he was going to escort Margot and Upman back to his place because that's like where Upman said he wanted to go.
Anybody else going with them?
I guess Len for now will go with and maybe be the guard on the door for a while because they can't just let, with the way things stand, they can't just let Upman hang out in his home without.
Oh yeah, Gav had
Security.
no intention of leaving the two of them alone,
Oh,
defenseless.
All right.
well,
Where is Runa headed in the middle of that? I can't hear you at the moment. You're still muted.
She was gonna check. I didn't know that the mic was unmuted already.
No.
I was gonna check on Hans, but I don't want to interrupt that with that.
No. I think it's absolutely. Are you talking Hans, who just went off in the rain,
Yes.
or Hans Upman? Okay, so that's fine to have gone after him. So we can kind of cut to you checking in on Hans in a little bit. All right. So Gav and Len are accompanying Margot and Hans across the city. There's all due caution taken with, you know, making sure they have cloaks protecting their faces, but with the rain as extreme as it is, it's like it ends up being completely unnecessary. There's like nobody out. There's nobody that can like kind of see through the veil of it enough to know how they're doing. Hans does look to Gav as they're walking. He says, the woman that you warned me of, she was the one who put me into that place, whatever it was.
We ran into her in the sewers. She tried to do the same to Runa. And then she did the same to all of us, sort of.
Says what happened with the Iron Princes. And Margot speaks up and she says, I was stopped. The Iron Princes survived.
well,
Most of them.
one of them melted, and I hope it was terribly painful.
Margot kind of looks like, really? Like, I think this is the first she's heard of this.
It is the first she's heard of it.
She's
Yeah.
like, we didn't have a way that
Cool.
I don't think that was us.
No, that you don't hold any. You do not hold any responsibility for that one. That's something else. But it was also, I think,
Which Iron Prince?
Hilgrund.
There's a definite, like, if you could have picked any name.
I kind of figured. That's why Gav wasn't like hiding it.
She just like, she's aware that she doesn't have credit for it, you know what I'm saying, and aware that she's probably going to eat some of the consequences of it, but like clearly the fact that it's a friend that in the midst of all this died, like, gives her some solace.
unfortunately, his special enforcers fought their way out of the city, and from all reports, are now tearing apart his country and terrorizing every innocent person there. So there's some good and bad with that death.
Um,
And of course, Len is doing this to kind of point out that, once again, he gets what their aim was, but there were going to be horrible consequences for what they were going to do. And this is just a small snapshot of what happens when you suddenly have a power vacuum.
and while that might have been Len's purpose, her mind is kind of clearly going to ways to potentially help those who are being overrun by the ghosts. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
She
he
says,
gets it. But
if the gunpowder is still, if it has not been destroyed, there are caches of firearms that we could provide to them. They could resist.
Well, that's a little above above our pay grade right now. We can pass on the word, but uh, I don't know how we would go about effectively getting those weapons into the right hands and not just end up accidentally ferrying them into the hand of ghosts themselves or bandits.
I may be able to help with that, but now is not the place nor the time.
Yeah.
She says, every day every hour that they have to defend themselves is an hour that they are less likely to be at the mercy of them.
Yeah, it's like you misunderstand. The person I would need to speak to would not be caught out in this weather. And right now, we need to make sure the two of you survive the night, da?
She nods. She says, I'll provide you one of the locations where we had some firearms stashed. If you can make contact with the person allergic to the weather. And they come to Upman's store, and surprisingly, the sort of here in the Merchants Quarter, the knowledge that one of their own might have been associated with the assassination attempt on an Iron Prince does not bear the weight it might have in some place like the Philosopher's Stone. Because for them, Hans Upman was a merchant in good standing for a very long time. And so his store has been chained off, but it doesn't look like it has been like ripped through and looted. And the Merchant's Quarter itself is sort of all under the same protection. It's got its own walls, it's got its own gate, and the guards haven't allowed anybody to like just roll through his place just yet. Um,
All right. Well, there's more than one way to get into the house if needs be. The question is, do we want to advertise that he's back or not?
Yeah, it's mostly like chains with like chains themselves are expensive, as are locks, but since they're reusable, they've been strung across the doors and over the windows, and Upman himself like slides closer, and it's Gav has seen a lot of like street thieves and stuff like that. Upman is surprisingly good at picking locks. It's not exactly a common skill because locks are rare and are expensive, and it's usually only something you need when you're going after like a high value target, like a noble or a rich merchant. But yeah, like the fingers that are used to such delicate stitching and stuff like that, he and opens it up and sort of just drapes it off to the side.
He could probably use his sewing needles as picks.
You're not even sure what he used, but you're pretty sure they came from the coat he's wearing.
Mm-hmm. And we will make sure we lock up when we leave.
He nods. He leads within and down to the area that's below. I think both Len and Gav have seen it. As far as like the kind of area that he had his plans drawn up, and that he had like kind of burned every like letter and whatnot that he had that might lead to other Relaskier. And the he rolls up the scrolls that are there of like different coat designs and stuff like that, just folding them and putting them away, and kind of runs fingers over like the different fabrics and threads, and like it's clear that like whatever else, like this is what he loves to do. He enjoys the actual work of it, and he is a revolutionary by circumstance and by requirement over by some sort of love of that.
It's his passion.
It's what he feels he has to do, and with what's been seen about the loss of his family and stuff like that, there's a certain amount of sense that it makes. He says, what is to happen now?
Yet to be determined. We are still investigating officially, but to be sure, Posen wants you dead. I would like to see you speaking both to Koenigsegger, because he is not his father, and I believe he would listen to what you have to say.
It's possible that we can get you, Mr. Upman, exonerated to at least a certain degree. May end up in house arrest or something. Somebody always keeping a bit of an eye on you, but I don't know that we can. I'm sorry, Gavin. He's going to say this just right in front of him, but I don't know that any force on this earth can keep Margot out of the hands of the hangman or paid assassins.
I disagree. I happen to know someone who is very good at moving things and people.
Well,
And he sort of looks to Margot, the same friend who does not like the rain.
and I understand this and your sense of justice, but I also need you to keep in mind that her vanishing without facing any form of the justice that the Iron Princes want could lead to war or sanctions, could cause a lot of loss of life or a lot of pain for a lot of people who have nothing to do with this. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't want us to get into actually get into a fight, but I just want you to balance your sense of justice against the bigger picture.
Gav has
Hans,
been.
Upman speaks up. He says, "What if she were to escape from Posen's custody?"
Oh, well, then our hands are clean. I mean, Len immediately is just like, hey, well, then that's nothing on us.
You have a plan, Herr Upman.
This is if I can be given time and permission to write some letters, and things can be delayed until such time as those receiving the letters can act on them. He says 2-3 weeks before she is handed over.
The issue of the woman in green has not been settled. She was involved in the bombing in the market, and okay, now does Gav know that the person the Selkie bitch impersonated was Halgren's spy?
That's
I don't
probably up to
remember.
Honorine. I don't know if she
I don't
shared
remember
that.
if she told us.
I don't think she did. No, I don't remember her doing so.
Okay.
I don't
But
think
Len
she's
will-
had the chance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Between being, almost blown up and dream walking.
It's been a busy day.
It's been a busy couple days.
But-
it's like just
Well, okay, to be fair, we did have that there was quite a bit of downtime between the end of the last one, because I think we did a full downtime session between the end of that and the start of this, which is to indicate that a few days has gone by. So
Might have
I'm
just slipped
fine
their
with
minds.
allowing it. But if everybody's been
Yeah.
busy with what they're doing, that's fine too, and that's a realistic reflection of life being chaotic. So
and Len will be like, and they will want to see how much they can get out of her about the Relaskier's organization, whether that's nothing or what. She would be considered a at least temporarily valuable source of information.
yeah,
So
she
we can
laughs.
spin
She's
it
like,
as best as we can.
she says, "I will tell you everything I know about the Relaskier's organization, which is that I started my own cell after receiving philosophical instruction."
Well,
that is
drag
what
that out.
Gav expected. There
Drag
is
that
no.
out as long as you can.
Mhm. And
She says, I can direct them to places where gunpowder has been stored. to buy time. There are enough places it has been hidden. We were selling it for years. There are stockpiles all over the place.
And with trying to arrange contact with Herr Seeger, you will need time to write out your philosophies and what the
You think
things
you
you
allow me to take the stand for myself?
that I do not know. But he is a thinker first. And if you have ideas on how to improve Eisen, improve Freiburg, he will listen. I believe this.
And Upman kind of looks to her. He says, if nothing else, it is a chance to have our beliefs, our thoughts put in public record. He says, to be heard by more than those we slip a few pamphlets to or come to watch a late night children's show. You will be able to speak to the injustices that you have seen and that you have suffered, and that may do more good in the long run than the death of any Iron Prince.
Not every problem can be solved at the tip of a sword. Look what the last one cost. Many years of war.
She nods. Hans does look up at Gavin Len and says, though I do think there are those amongst the Iron Princes who would act to silence her before she ever got a chance to speak. And if she can be kept somewhere out of the common jail, that will be to her safety.
An Iron Prince always has someplace private to keep special guests. I'm sure that can be arranged. It would be much too dangerous to put her in general population. And I'm just going to say this now because I feel it needs to be said. We're going to do what we can for you. And we're doing what we can because Gav believes in you. Do not betray that. This is your one opportunity to do something, or it's the hangman's rope.
And Upman says, hangman's rope in Freiburg. It may be much harsher elsewhere. And she nods. She says, everything that I did was to try to make change. If you think that this will make change, I will trust you.
The fates conspired for us to meet, Margot Struber. I do not intend to let them down.
She smiles, and I'm gonna have us cut away now.
Yeah.
I want to give. We're gonna have like a quick kind of movement over to Honorine because she's going to get back to her place, and Waldo is going to have left like one letter, a note, and there's also like the satchel that she has from her aunt is kind of bundled.
What do you mean bundled?
Like there's enough like letters in it that it's like a little larger than normal. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like when she goes into it, there are like 3 full letters inside of the bundle itself, or inside of the satchel itself.
So they just all dropped at once, huh?
Well, and the one note that's from Waldo says, "You have a gift. I'm holding on to it. You'll understand once you see it."
Okay. Bath first and then gift.
Okay. I'm assuming she can read while she's in the bath. So which one does she want to read? She has a letter from Charlotte and 3 from her Aunt Jemay.
Jemay first, and then Charlotte can wait.
Okay. So the first 2 letters she goes through, I'm going to read the description real quick because you'll get the sense of it. This letter is written by Jamet's hand and is at first glance an exuberant account of the decadences of court. It describes feasts and fashion trends and entertainments in exhaustive detail, with nothing but glowing praise of the emperor and the Rosette family. The letter has been sealed, but examination seal indicates it has been very carefully forged after being resealed. There is no use of the previously sent cipher. It is entirely the kind of court excesses Jamet has complained about previously any number of times, and the descriptions of food go on and on across 20 pages.
Front and back?
No, she only writes on the front. So,
How decadent.
the second letter is quite similar to the first. It describes Jamet being courted by Mode du Lac, which is the fashion club of the courts. They basically have people who like watch the emperor get dressed every morning and run around and tell them what he's wearing so that they can like make sure their fashions mirror his and emulate it.
And she's being courted by them, like to join them?
Yeah, to join. It's considered extremely prestigious. Like you're not wearing the finest clothes unless you're part of Mode du Lac. Which dictates fashion of the court by parroting the emperor's chosen garb. She offers swooning praise and bubbling excitement over the prospect. And once again, the seal of the letter has been breached and no cipher is present. She recites the attire of some 35 members of the court in exhausting and excruciating detail in 15 pages.
Only 15?
Yep.
Okay.
That's honestly, knowing your aunt, that's probably as long as she could have bared to talk about fashion.
I feel like that would be just an overview.
If Honorine was writing, it's quite possible. All right. The third letter arrives the same way, the seal damaged and repaired, but this letter is almost 12 pages, describing the dance card of the Duchess Jamet over the last few court events. The cipher doesn't begin until the fourth page, marked by a small monastic-style illumination of the first letter being used in the cipher. The tiny illustration is of Jamet making a crude gesture with her fan, a motion the Ducis family uses privately and only privately to indicate they're talking to somebody that is delightful as an inflamed hemorrhoid.
Fantastic.
The actual letter reads, and she probably is like working through this in the bath. She's memorized it now, so it takes a little bit, but I cannot tell whether it's more uncomfortable to eat naught but sugar or speak only honey. My feet ache from dancing, my cheeks ache from smiling, and if my ears ache from listening to the most pretentious men I've known in courts filled to bursting with pretentious men, explain to me the proper way to elevate my bust with a corset. I play a precarious game, but I am spinning plates while things draw the emperor's attention away from his distractions. A veteran of Montague's army arrived in Charus bearing a letter from Montague. He was coming to meet his childhood love, but discovered that she had been inducted to the service of one Allais Prez de Rachetis, a minor nobleman who promptly impregnated her. Jerome, the young veteran, slew Allais and was promptly arrested by the musketeers. They were ordered to forgo trial and put Jerome to death. Instead, 4 of them defied their orders, forswore their oaths, and smuggled Jerome and Isabelle away. The Emperor's lightning guard have disbanded the musketeers. And she knows the musketeers are kind of one of the few things that keep the population in check and happy.
Yeah.
The Emperor's Lightning Guard have disbanded the musketeers, and a small rebellion has arisen as a result. The merchants' quarter of Charus was engulfed in riot. We could see the flames from the palace. The Lightning Guard were dispatched, but fully half their number did not return.
Jesus Christ.
In short, we totter on the precipice of absolute chaos, and every day a new rumor of instability is met by a new social event. Even wealthy families are starting to strain to keep up with all the dresses required, and the Emperor has begun to see the wasted excess food from his affairs burned so rioters cannot sustain themselves with it. If you have a home and accommodations ready, I have a few family members I think should have a vacation at Freeburg. Take care of yourself.
What does Charlotte have to say?
Dear cousin, I am so very apologetic for the missed engagements over the last few weeks. I have stopped by your townhome a few times in the past few weeks, but your manservant indicated you were cavorting with an acting troupe. I cannot express my envy at the ribald adventures you must be having. Married life and maintaining propriety must be so boring by comparison. I can see why you're not rushing into anything. I'm certain Auntie is pressuring you into a quick marriage, but rest easy. I've told everyone inquiring about your eligibility that you're not really interested in a serious relationship. Someone had the nerve to suggest to me that you were cohabitating with a common woman anonymously, or a common woman amorously. She was absolutely uninvited for my next little fete. Oh, what a reminder. I'm throwing a party. Going to bring a touch of Montaigne extravagance to Iceland, to Freiburg, and you should absolutely attend. I'll be so very disappointed if you can't make it. There'll be a smorgasbord, and that word is like written with a kind of distaste for the fact that it's like an Eisen word, but it's the most appropriate. There'll be a smorgasbord of potential suitors, so you can assure Auntie you're doing due diligence. You can meet my husband. It's why I've been less than available. My first extravaganza in this adorable little dance, and I've been busy making sure everything will be perfect. Is everything well with yourself, with the family? I've gotten fewer and fewer letters since my wedding, and lately it seems Auntie only writes to ask for money. Has something happened? Charlotte Kirsch deceases. I just want to know what Honorine is doing in her bathroom after she reads that Charlotte has been telling everybody that she's not actually looking for a match.
Yeah, that's bitchy. That's petty. It's not true, but it's not untrue. She just sort of reads through the letter and just sort of sighs, because that's a party she's gonna have to go to that she doesn't want to go to. So she's gonna set the letter aside and then go back to Jamet's letters, because they were interesting even when they're talking about cake. She's gonna make sure, like, she's doing a kind of once over, like, of the non-coded letters, just to make sure she didn't miss anything.
No, it looks like their entire purpose was to bore whoever was reading them.
And then once she's done with that, she's going to get dressed and go see what Waldo has for her, because hopefully that's going to be better than the letters that she's gotten.
Yeah, and it's fairly late when he sees her coming in out of the rain. Oh, goodness, come in. You know, looks immediately worried. Like, I could have brought it to you.
Oh, no. It's fine.
He says, so, a barrel which had been sealed to keep water with some fish inside came for your address. There were also instructions as to how to feed the fish, so I have been doing so for the last few days. They are apparently intended for a pond of some kind, and along with them came a letter from one Mr. Falk Fischler. Like, nobody's listening, but he's totally whispering because it's like from an Iron Prince.
Oh, he sent me fish.
Living fish.
Did Honorine make any mention whatsoever to Falk Fischler about having a pond in her?
No.
Okay.
No. To be fair, the man lives on a lake.
Well, let's take a look at them.
So yeah,
she's clearly like charmed and very, very puzzled.
So they're like the specific kind of fish is.
Oh, you have a specific kind of fish that these are.
Yeah, they're called a Schlammfresser, which the name is for a fish that is basically like a catfish. Does that make sense? It's not terribly pretty,
I'm
you-
doing
you
the best I
Google-
can at
you can-
spelling.
Yeah, I made up the name, so you're probably not going to get anything off of
Oh,
Google.
Okay. All right. Well, never mind then.
They're like brown. They're designed to like blend in with mud. You know what I'm saying? They're just a very unusual looking and sort of strange choice of gift.
Yes, they are.
So, um, this letter is in a atrociously spelled Montaigne. Do you want me to read it?
Oh, there's a letter.
Yeah, there's a letter that comes with it. Like when she opens it up, she's like, "Oh, he's learning Montaigne," and I think he started like a week ago. A lot of the grammar is off. A lot of the spelling is not good. Like just period. You know, like he doesn't really seem to grasp how many extra vowels the Montaigne insert into things.
As
So a lot
long
of
as it's
this-
understandable, she's gonna give it a whirl.
So just like I didn't write it badly spelled. Just
Thank you.
understand that like
Yeah.
it looks that way. So, dear Honorine, I hope this letter finds you well. You've been on my mind many times since I left Freiburg, and I've taken up learning your native tongue. Your command of my tongue was most impressive. I have sent a gift, one that I hope arrives safely. The fish are called Schlanfresser in Fischlerlands and are a staple of a lot of diets. They like rivers and ponds, and they taste excellent if a great deal of butter and salt are used to hide their taste. I strongly suggest keeping them as pets over eating them. I have a small stream and a freshwater pool behind my home in Fischlerlands, and a shoal of them now. They dig themselves under the mud, but they're very curious and will come up to nibble on toes. I have not intended to talk about fish first thing. I worry I'll be a very boring pen pal, as the things which swirl through my mind on most days are simple thoughts. I appreciate good weather. I worry about the harvest. I try my best to see to the protection of my people. When I'm not thinking of those things, I'm thinking about fish or pretty Montaigne women who have a gift for making me feel very charming. There are some matters of concern as well. Prince Seeger has declined to trade for food for the first time in a decade, but I've heard no word his lands are fertile once again, and at our northern border, Hilgren's lands are burning. I wish I was being metaphorical. We have seen pillars of smoke above towns and villages, and people stream over our borders, seeking refuge from the ghosts. My soldiers fight them off, but our border runs the length of our lands, and I've heard tell of ghosts riding towards Fischler's villages to reclaim stolen serfs. I would invade, but we are poorly prepared for such a conflict, and it would almost certainly set the stage for hostilities with Posen. I am still considering my course, but what is clear to me that is to do nothing is callous. I set out to write this letter as a reprieve from state business, but it seems I have circled back to it. I truly hope you're well and enjoy the Schlamfester. I look forward to the opportunity to see you again. Mind your toes, Falk.
How well does Waldo know her?
That's really up to you. I think Waldo is like they I've been trying to portray him as definitely sort of like on the spectrum, and so I don't know as he's the best at picking up a lot of like social cues, but he has
Yeah.
been very focused on her for the last few weeks. Like she's definitely his most prestigious client. He feels like awful about her first arrival and how poorly things went, and has been trying to make things up to her, and has been mistaken for a manservant more than once, even though he's her
Which
landlord.
she is extremely apologetic about, by the way. Like every time that comes up, like she's like, no. This is my landlord. This is Herr Falk or Herr Waldo.
Yeah.
You know, etc. So she's been very particular to make sure that he's been defined as not her manservant. Like she's been tried to be very respectful.
Yeah. You don't think any but somebody like your cousin are likely to make that mistake very often.
Right.
On purpose.
And
probably not. It's probably just she really doesn't like that.
She doesn't
person's
care
lower
that
caste.
much.
So
yeah. So she's she reads the letter and she's definitely like charmed by it. But like after she's done reading the letter, like she kind of just like she looks at the fish and she kind of glances at the letter and like her shoulders are a little bit slumped, like everything is burning and she's tired at the moment. You know what I mean? Like she So, like, I think Waldo would be, like, kind of taking note that, like, a lot of the news that she's come back to is not necessarily very welcome news. And she kind of takes a moment to just sort of be overwhelmed. And then she's like, okay, what do I do with these fish?
Give me just a moment, like during the moment that she's overwhelmed, because I actually want to roll something.
Okay.
We're gonna do.
Do I have to roll something for being overwhelmed? I feel like that's a
no,
free action.
No, I'm rolling Waldo to see if he kind of pieces together a lot of this. Does that make sense?
I was gonna say, like, I feel like being overwhelmed is just a state of being in Freeburg.
Crying is a free action.
Yeah.
So he just sort of, like, when he sees that she's, like, overwhelmed, like, it looks as though for a moment his instinct is to try to embrace her. Does that make sense? And then he sort of remembers, like, the difference in their classes, and instead it's sort of like very, like, heartfelt pat on the back. You know what I'm saying? That, like, if she wanted to, she could lean in for a hug. It's not like that awkward. It's more like that, like, I can tell you're having a really hard time. I'm just kind of making some contact to remind you that, like, you're not alone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And she doesn't flinch away from the contact, but she also doesn't really go in for more contact. She's just not a contacty person. At least not until she knows you better, apparently. I don't know. And she's just sort of like kind of turning the letter.
A hot gunfighting professor.
Listen, she's
it's either
full
no
contact
contact
or
or all contact.
Okay, look, I was muted during your scene. Please, if you would give me a minute, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Waldo.
And so she's sort of turning the letter over in her fingers, and she's like, there's just so much going on. It never lets up.
Kind of like, I have something that may help.
Is it a sedative?
He just kind of, like, goes into his kitchen. He comes back, and there's, like, little twists of what might be like sage in his hand. And he kind of, like, sticks it down into the water, and the fish comes up and just sort of, like, eats it quickly and, like, nibbles on his fingers a little bit afterwards. And then he just, like, offers her a piece of sage.
Okay, yeah, she's totally gonna just feed the fish. And let them nibble her fingers.
He says, would you like me to have someone dig a pond for you?
Please, if you would. That would be wonderful.
I'll take care of them until then. And I'll feed them when you're off on one of your adventures.
Thank you, Waldo. I should pay you more rent.
He kind of chuckles. He says, and I'm doing fine, actually. He says, prices have gone down across the city.
No doubt.
Since Redmond left. He says, many places are rented that were left empty. There's less competition for the rents that remain. My place is nice, he says, and the people who live here can afford the prices that I'm paying, and I am not charging them too much, and that is enough for me.
And she doesn't really have much to say to that. She just kind of gives him a smile that's just like, someone doing okay. Like, she's just very happy about, like, it's just one of those moments where she's like, I appreciate it that he shared that kind of thing.
Yeah, and he smiles and just kind of, like, leaves her at that. Are you good with kind of us moving on from there? I know it's been a smaller scene, but she had a lot of news to process, so
she's had so much news, and all of it is about burning. And you would think that she would be okay with that given her proclivities, but she's not.
We had a question in the chat about Waldo, and I'm actually gonna just link him.
What is
Oh, I
the
don't know. I thought I made a thing for Waldo. I thought I shared him at one point. Maybe I didn't upload him.
I thought you did.
You
I
have
think I
shared
just
it.
yeah, I thought I just put him in. I might have just put him in cash chat.
You might have.
We have a lot of NPCs, so it's hard to say.
There's so many
Yeah.
NPCs.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Not sorry.
She is gonna start when she gets back. She's gonna try to start working on a reply to Charlotte, and then she's gonna set that aside and work on her thing she's writing instead.
Okay. Is she writing like a quicker message back to indicate that like her aunt can send people? As that
Yes.
seems sort of emergent.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
She's sending back something to the effect of like, I don't have much room, but I will make room for whoever needs to come, kind of thing.
Okay. I'm just throwing this in so we can show chat what Waldo looks like.
Where is
Waldo?
There we go.
All right.
Oh yeah, so, that's him. Yes.
Rosa had left with her own emotional sort of complexities on her shoulder at the same time that Hans did. What is she doing that night? Where's she going?
She ends up going back to her apartment. Allie! And especially since the last thing she kind of heard from her grandmother was, "You can't get away from me." And she can't help but like kind of sit and think about I can't remember the character's name. I'm so sorry.
Mab's
Queen? Yes, the Queen's possible deal. And so she's kind of spending the night almost weighing the pros and cons of this deal and losing her grandmother and part of herself versus what does it mean for her to lose that part of herself.
Yeah, the journal is, still where Henri has it, which I don't even know if Rosa knows exactly where that is right now. And all of the fate lashes, she doesn't have any traumatic wounds, but like the pain of them is fresh. There's still some, like sort of sensitivity to her skin. It's late at night, like way too late for her to have like visitors and stuff like that. But there is a knock on the door.
I'm checking this because I think I used to have one. Did I? No, I didn't get the ritual knife. So no. She's more very anxious about who it is.
It's late at night. The rain is coming down enough that like the first few times, like she looks out and she sees someone like moderate height, a hat, it seems to be like obscuring their face. If she wants to, I guess the question is she more likely to try to like reach for sorcery to try to see if she can see more about them? Is that the natural reflex, or is she just trying to kind of piece together things from like physical clues?
Okay. Oh no, the first reflex is absolutely go go magic.
Okay. Go ahead and what is she looking to? Just his arcana?
Yep. So that's 5, 8, keep 3, right?
Yeah. I have to actually look up the arcana because I don't think I wrote it down.
24.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be enough to read it. I'm gonna guess that it's creative, but I'm not entirely sure. So give me just 1 second.
That is a lot of 8s.
Better than a lot of 10s.
I know.
Although she's just looking, so right now it actually wouldn't matter. But
It's Otto popping his head up and being like, "Yo, I haven't been on camera in long enough."
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we can absolutely have views of both autos. You know, he's just kind of perched on her shoulder, no longer acting as a headpiece, but looking like, you know, do you want me to bite him? I'll bite him. Yeah, so I'm just going to say that his arcana is creative, and I might correct it later. But it takes her a moment to recognize Wilhelm. It's been a while since she's seen him, since she moved out of
Yeah, her old place. So she'll open the door then.
yeah, and he still has, like, he's taken to wearing gloves to hide like the marks from his hands and stuff like that. Um, and he says, "I'm sorry. I know the hour's very late."
Is everything all right?
Yes, he says, I had been on a wander. The rain inspires me.
Mm.
And I found myself across the city and realized that the only person I knew here was you. He kind of shakes his head. He says, "Something drew me, I think. Normally, I would not have disturbed your peace at such an hour."
I was up thinking. Come in, please.
He says, I did see a light on before I knocked." But he steps in and kind of like takes off the hat, and he hangs up his coat. He still seems to be like, you know, like clothes are still in good repair, like whatever he's doing now. I mean, you know, he's working with the Bear House as like a composer instead of a pianist, but or instead of a violinist, but like he seems to be doing fine as far as supporting himself.
Yeah.
You know, there's still like the marks of the torture and whatnot that he's been through, but he doesn't. He seems to be on like the upside of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He says, "If you don't mind my asking, what has you so deep in thought so late?"
Personal matters. Choices that I seem to need to make sooner rather than later.
He looks thoughtful. I know that the members of the council at the Bear House have been through an extraordinary amount of ups and downs. He says, in all of it, I lost track of my promise to teach you music. We haven't had much time for it lately, but I still think the lessons are worth continuing.
I agree. I have lent the book I was using to a friend of mine, but
I have never been the best at writing music. Most of the time, I mean, I have learned the art of it, of course, but I am not somebody who composes from the page. I compose from the instrument and then transcribe it to the page. He says, but I have done some reading about those with your abilities, and that they have had a very long connection to music.
yes, from my understanding.
It was in doing this reading that I discovered one of my favorite Vidachi composers was not a man, but had simply been writing under a male pseudonym. He says, but they were a Strega like yourself, and they composed some truly beautiful music.
I am both surprised and unsurprised.
Um, the if it would help, I can do my best to play you some. It will not be with my normal grace, but
You do not have to if you are not capable. So you
he says it does not pain me to make music of any kind, even when it is not the height of the ability that I once had. There's still something personal in it that always brings me joy. And I believe he'd like given her like a starter violin as she was learning and stuff like that. And one of the things is he like lifts it and starts to play. He's actually not playing it like a violin anymore. He's not using a bow. He's actually using it as if it were like a small guitar. Does that make sense? Using the bow and he can still play. He can still like make all the notes that he needs to make. It has a strange sound to it, but like for whatever reason the damage has been done to him. This is easier for him to do without. Whereas like the control of the bow and the strings is just more challenging. But go ahead and give me a roll using her wits and her mastery. And she's going to keep her wits.
Okay, so keep 3. 20.
Okay. She can hear that, like, even without looking at the page, she could hear that, like, there is magic written into this opera. And the realization that if there's more like it. She'd seen her own grandmother using music as well as other sort of features all combined into her mastery of sorte. And it's for his part, he's just sort of like playing to give her some company, to give her. He doesn't have an answer for whatever's troubling her. He doesn't know what's troubling her, but for him, music makes everything easier to manage. So
Rosa spends some time just listening, enjoying this very strange music. And weirdly, he's actually kind of swayed her to stay a Strega.
And the like after like an hour or so that he sets the violin down, says, That was my first public performance post my injuries.
It was beautiful, Signore.
I'm glad you enjoyed. But it's encouraged me to perhaps consider looking at some other instruments, seeing if there are some things which are easier than others for me to use. And with the work now with the Bear House and greater command of different instruments gives me the better ability to compose music. So,
And you have helped me to see things in a different light.
If I might say, says, I know that you have a man in the city that you are interested in. I've seen the two of you together, the way that you look at each other. And I'm aware that your first invitation for me, there's been some complexities that have arisen ever since that date.
Yes.
I never got to thank you, though, for accompanying me.
Thank you for inviting me, even if it was a mess at the end.
He smiles and he says, the very best symphonies are not predictable. He says I should have a long walk back.
Be careful, it is raining.
You know, he says, if that, sir, breaks your heart, I will compose something devastating.
I would appreciate it.
And he heads out after that with his coat, his hat. So, Runa is, it's probably the latest evening because she got to chase Hans over to Feinhardt only to realize that he's not at the Dragon's Tooth. They're like, no, we haven't seen him. Which, at least where Hans is concerned, there's only one likely place that he is after that, which is his home, which is near her own, which is convenient.
Yeah.
So, and for her, she came back wearing the flag of her ship and with the glass, snow globe of the Revenge. Neither of which has she really had the chance to put down or kind of process everything post Red, since I imagine that was the most memorable thing about the trip for her was seeing.
Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Why did you kick me?
I didn't mean to. You're right across from me.
Flag of the ship, snow globe, still holding.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to help jog your memory.
Her plan is to check on Hans before she goes home. She's just gonna knock on his door. Well, first she's gonna check and see if there's light, because there is a small possibility that as soon as he got home, he crashed.
Yeah.
Trying to think of house orientation. I think upon peeking, looking in a window to see if there's light or activity, there's a cute little scene of Hans and Otto sitting by the fire.
She's just gonna knock lightly, and if he doesn't hear it, she'll go.
because she saw how upset he was. She doesn't know why, but she's seeing the moment of calm and doesn't want to disturb him if he doesn't want to be disturbed.
Is it, there's the knock at the door. It is rather late. Yeah, who is it?
It's Runa.
Oh, come in. Just no
And
trouble.
Otto says, come in, come in. He's still kind of staring into the fire.
Pat him on the shoulder.
I'm truly sorry to interrupt.
There's not much to interrupt here.
I saw the way you left, and I wanted to check on you. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. But if you do, I'm here.
You need not worry for me. I am much better now. There's been a whole mix of information rediscovered. I have, well, I suppose I can. You know the whole story already, but I have lost a good chunk of my memory dying.
I know what that's like, except I didn't
And
know.
a lot of them just kind of came back suddenly in Mob's palace.
You can tell me not to worry, but I'm going to.
Truly, there is nothing to worry about. I am fine.
I want to believe you.
I mean, it's not like I remembered I was a serial murderer or something before. I was a soldier.
But you remembered something, and you looked devastated. But you don't have to tell me about it. But you also don't need to act like everything's fine.
There is stretches a bit. There's so much going on at the moment. I don't wish to pile on more onto your plate and more than what you already have.
I can handle it.
Yeah, very well. I have remembered my younger sister. I had forgotten about her almost entirely until the dinner back there. And I wish to know where she is, and I want to find her again. I mean, it's been, I don't know how many years it has been, but she has grown up alone.
Yosa, must I need to know the person to check on them? Or do I need a description?
I think if you were working with somebody who was actively like picturing them, but I would let you do it at a higher target number. Like I'm going to call 2 raises at a minimum for that. After you've seen them once, you can do it again.
Okay. I can find her.
Perhaps in the morning. I truly do not wish to add more to your evening. I think it is best if all of us are to rest a bit and, I don't know, perhaps ponder what is to be our next move. You had spent a good amount of time during the gala or the dinner with I don't know how to describe with some particular fellow. He's one from your past, yeah?
Yes. When I know what it's like to lose time.
and to not remember, and to come back and find out things aren't the way you left them. I had found out once I had met Kavi that he had died trying to kill Jordan.
He was the smaller man with the strange eye, yeah?
Yes, he was a gnome-ish kind of dude.
Sorry to ask that again.
Kavi was a dwarf, or
Yes.
um,
Like, and to be clear, like that's like dwarfism, not like there's a race of dwarfs in 7th Sea.
mhm.
So
He was the Vestin dwarf.
Ah,
Yes,
yeah. The blacksmith, yeah?
yes.
Hmm.
So there was something to see him again
I can
Before-
imagine.
before he went to Valhalla. But if you would like, I will leave you alone for the night, and I can find your sister tomorrow.
I think that would be for the best. I could use rest in my own bed for once.
Rest well.
Thank you. And you too, Runa.
I will. And she's gonna go home and try to enter the house really quietly so she doesn't wake up Brandy, because it is past her bedtime.
Yeah, she's like sneaking in very quietly, and there's like a kind of acrid smell in the air. It's an immediate kind of like, hackles go up, something's off. Like she's raised in a boat. The smell of things burning is never good, right? It takes like just a minute to kind of realize like it's coming from like the kitchen of her place. And yeah, when she comes in, like Brandy is in the kitchen. And like the little like rune of lightning on her neck is like a glow, and she looks up and just, when a child is like, I am caught and I am guilty, and just she absolutely like immediately plasters that on her face and just immediately like, I didn't do it. There's something that looks like it could have been like corned beef and hash across a pan, but it has been cooked by lightning as opposed to like fire, and that is not an ideal cooking mechanism.
What are you doing awake?
Says I was hungry.
All right, then you wake up your mom. You don't try to cook on your own.
But
it's dark. We need more sunlight up here.
and she just
Sorry, I just saw God.
she just kind of dips her head. She's like, I didn't want to wake her up. I wanted to do it for myself and show up to her.
Nothing's on fire, right?
Well, like the pan is sizzling a little bit. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like there's definitely like, there's kind of like a welding mark across it, like from where the heat contacted it. It's fine. Like it's gonna work as a pan just fine, or it could be replaced. It's not a big deal. But if she had missed or she'd hit something wood, there probably would be a fire in the house.
Yeah. Well, how about I make you a snack and then we get you to bed?
She just nods. And she kind of points to her cloak and she says, "What's that?"
It is. I used to be a part of a crew.
And she's already kind of coming over and like has a hand on the corner of it.
And that crew faced a shipwreck. This was the flag.
And she like she pirouettes, so she like wraps herself in the flag, like just like in the cape, like one part of it just completely circles around her.
She's just gonna like pick her up.
Yeah, she squeaks a little bit, but she doesn't object. And she says, "It's pretty. What does this mean?"
Is there a specific meaning to it?
Yeah, the rune is supposed to represent Vestan, like all of the
Yeah.
lands.
Okay,
then
so
since
just
it's
the
upside
stuff that I
down-
do for sure know.
Yeah, and since it's upside down, the meaning of it is that it's in peril, and that was sort of like the acting idea of that, like, you know, the revenge was trying to save Vestan from what was happening within it.
She's going to
So-
explain all of that to her. Rune is not one to withhold information from kids just because they're kids.
That was kind of something that would get them killed on a ship if they acted on something that was untrue. So she kind of sniffs and she says, "You smell like salt."
Well, it is raining. A lot.
She kind of laughs. She's like, "Clouds don't smell like salt."
You are right. Well, perhaps I went for a swim.
She says, "In the river?"
Sure.
Yeah, and she just kind of, you know, like narrows her eyes, like, you know, since that's an unusual answer from Runa.
I truly would explain the adventure I'd been on if there wasn't far too much to explain right now, and it is quite late. I need to make you a snack and get you to bed.
She says, "So it could be a bedtime story."
Sure. If that'll
just-
help you sleep.
Surely the story about, you know, getting pulled underwater by sirens and whatnot is definitely going to help her sleep.
At least she's never seen a siren. She doesn't really know how spooky they are.
Yeah, she
Sirens were one of Runa's biggest fears as a kid.
yeah, and she eats like the little, I'm just assuming it's like fried a piece of toast or something small that she can nibble on. And she, you know, sits in bed, gets crumbs across it, but listens rapturously to what story Runa is telling.
Mm-hmm. And she's speaking quietly as to not wake up Sora.
Yeah, there's just a moment where Runa can remember like being tucked between two of the runners that people would sit on in the revenge. You know what I'm saying? With a blanket over her and like a pillow, like not a pillow because like it wasn't quite that lavish, but like something soft enough that her head wouldn't hit the hardwood on a wave, whatnot. And her mother was like sitting next to her, telling her stories of the Vestin of old and the runes and like the entry to Valhalla and Odin. You know, she can remember all of like the lore and the stories that have been passed on in just the same way. You know, a child being told bedtime stories.
Mm-hmm. And she smiles as Brandy, I'd assume, starts to doze off.
Yeah, it takes longer than it might have. She's very interested in the story. It's very different from anything that she's heard. You know, she grew up with a lot of stories that were like from the objectionist like experience of Vendel. So that was just like a lack of exposure to anything else. And so she when she's kind of listening at one point, she kind of like starts awake. She's like, "So wait, so this," and she points to the rune on her neck that's like for the lightning. She's like, "This was a person?"
Yes.
And what were they like?
Very brave. But those are from stories I've been told. I've never met them.
She nods. And she just kind of curls. She like pushes the pillow aside and puts her head on Runa's thigh and starts to doze off that way instead.
She's gonna take the flag off, fold it up, and put it on the bedside table. And the snow globe gently on top of it. And she's just gonna curl up with Brandy as to not disturb her and just fall asleep there. In a bed that's probably too small for her.
It is probably a little bit too small for her, but
yeah.
Actually, I think more likely Brandy's in a bed that's too big for her. Like, so it's actually fine for the two of them.
But she has accepted it and is just kind of like curled around Brandy.
The dreams that come for everyone are echoes of the time in the Shelands, in the not Bryn Brasail that they were in underwater. You know, in memories that kind of flow through of the creatures that they saw, the Queen Mab, the Red. Everything is like a dream, and also like all of the emotion that was there, that was sort of like experienced and shared and consumed by the creatures that they were with, all of it feels stronger for a moment. And then when morning comes, there's sort of a muddy post-storm Freeburg to look out on. Something has passed, and a new dawn is breaking with it. We have 15 minutes-ish left. We started a little bit late, but I'm actually going to end us early tonight because that's kind of closer to our normal time. And I know we've had some people who've had some very rough weeks. So I want to ask for role-playing nominations. I want 2 for the night.
Rosa gets to duck the conversation one more week.
Hans.
Yeah.
And Runa with Brandy. Those were 2 just adorable, adorable scenes.
I'm good with that. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close this out unless there's anybody who has like an absolutely urgent last-minute question.
No. What was Charlotte most afraid of as a small child? Was she an anti-snake person? Was it spiders?
I think she didn't like frogs.
Okay.
Spiders would have been funny as hell, because then Rosa could have had a little bit of fun.
It would have been funny as hell. But no, frogs are workable. Frogs are workable.
Thank you for everyone watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, make a comment in the down below. Here at Dirty 20, we always send out with the same call to action. Be nice. Be kind when you have the spoons, but even when you're not, be nice. Be nice to strangers. Be nice to family. Be nice to your loved ones. And be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us. And we'll see you next Sunday.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.